Oh, hi there. Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Fightful Selects 205 Live NXT UK recap show. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Mr. Warren Hayes, and I'm going to be discussing the events and happenings, perhaps even the goings on of the 3 tip-top hours of WWE programming that we get every week on the award-winning WWE network. And we're talking about it here on FightfulSelect.com to you auspicious, beautiful people who are members of Fightful Select. And you already know all the great stuff that happens here. Have you taken the time, though, I must ask, to go take a look, a listen, and enjoy retro pay-per-view review that Sean and I did for Valentine's Day Massacre? So topical, so absolutely topical, because tomorrow is Valentine's Day. Plus, on top of that, it's like peak Attitude Era on the cusp of big changes within the within many storylines that defined the Attitude Era up until that point. It was a fun show. You should check that out. And Sean and I had a good time reviewing it. Hope you're showing Steven Jensen some love since he's taken over the Weekenders. Hope you've shown Sean some love since she started doing the Fightful report every Wednesday as well, just a few hours before I come on and give you nothing but the best that I have. There's a lot of stuff going on. If you're new here, welcome. Do take the time to go through all the wonderful, beautiful offerings. There's a lot of great stuff here on Fightful Select. Just like there's a lot of great stuff in that happened on 205 Live. Oh, just before we hop on, I always, sometimes when there's news that pops up, I like to that touches on 205 Live, NXT UK. I like to talk about it, like to chit chat about it. It turns out that there's a report making the rounds, according to Pro Wrestling Insider, that Candice LeRae, NXT superstar, may start working SmackDown events, live events, SmackDown live events. But then if you go see a SmackDown event, a live event, do you call it SmackDown Live? Or is it just like SmackDown Live? But then SmackDown Live is the name of the TV show, so it's not a TV taping, so you can't. So you have to think about that kind of branding when you start putting names to things. That's the kind of thing you have to figure out. But no, so that's it. So basically, there's a rumor going around that she's supposed to start working these events. The question is, whether she's going to be called up or if it's just to get her used to performing in front of larger crowds. Full Sail, the NXT crowds that she usually performs in front of are usually the typical indie size that she's used to. So maybe kind of like Nikki Cross for a long while. Nikki, was sort of in limbo, was working live crowds. Maybe they want to do the same thing with Candice. The thing is, if they're ready to move her up. It doesn't seem like they have anything really to do for her or with her in NXT, which kind of blows my mind, if we're being completely honest with each other. I don't know why anyone is sitting on Candice LeRae. It's really strange, but I'm a big Candice LeRae guy. So, it's not as if I'm being 100% objective here. And there's a lot of women's talent in NXT right now that they're not quite using, not even using properly. Like, they're sitting on Deonna Purrazzo as well. That's kind of a shame as well. But we'll see. It's always a wait and see thing. We'll see what happens. There's this could actually be a really good opportunity if they bring LeRae up. Good. but I think she would have benefited in front of the WWE audience to have. I think she would have benefited from having her brand being a little better established on NXT, and then bring her up with some kind of with a with the WWE universe fans basically knowing more who she is, because us as hardcores, we know who she is. We know she's great. So yeah, we'll see what will happen next. But as for now, losing my headset. Excuse me. As for now, let's start talking about 205 Live. Fun show tonight. I really liked it. Show starts off with them recapping the feud between Tony Nese and Noam Dar. And you know how sometimes WWE production, when they put these packages together, they're able to tell a story much better than if they than the way it's actually scripted or written out. Like those video packages that they did for the Dean and Seth feud just at the end of 2018. Those told a much better story and made us understand what the feud was about much better than the actual guys doing the actual in-ring work. They do this sometimes. So it's funny because when you think about it, the Dar-Nese feud has been stretched out for what, 4 weeks now? 4 or 5 weeks? They had their 2 matches. This is supposed to be their rubber match, but the parking lot scene lasted. It really wasn't all that long when it was aired. It was a bit of a a short segment, but they just added fuel to that. Again, congratulations, man. Their video package work is top tier, man. It is fantastic. But before we get to that match, the Lucha House Party come to the ring because we're going to get Lince Dorado versus Jack Gallagher. Kalisto has a microphone, and so does Lince. They cut a promo to warm up the crowd, which isn't bad. It's not a bad idea. The audience likes the idea of they like the idea of Lucha House Party overall. They're crowd pleasers, and they talk about the fact that they had interrupted Elias on Monday night, and before they make they don't make an illusion. They actually talk about it, but then they say they sort of add some fuel to the fire here, saying that Grand Metalik wants to sing a song. They hand him the microphone, but before we can get any idea of how dulcet Grand Metalik's tones are, Jack Gallagher's music hits. And he comes down to the ring with Drew Gulak, who graces us with his presence on commentary. You got to love Drew Gulak. And the match gets going. You have Jack Gallagher, who has Lince in an armbar early on, starts twisting the fingers and joints. Lince eventually springboards out of the hold, though. He runs Gallagher. He runs Gallagher, gets him in a drop toe hold as well. Meanwhile, Gulak is in commentary are talking about this angle that they have set up where he and Jack Gallagher are trying to persuade Humberto Carrillo to join them, to shape him in their mold, basically, to have him abandon his flippy lucha ways and come into a style that is much more befitting of 205 Live, right? So they got, and I really like this because they gush over Carrillo, where he's like, Gulak wonders, why, or actually commentary wonders why Humberto doesn't wear a mask, and Gulak says, he's a good looking man, and he starts talking about his dimples. I'm like, wow, this is great stuff. Drew Gulak, often forgotten when we talk about people in WWE who can really work a mic, who are fantastic on the stick. Drew Gulak is one of these men, and even among the women, he's fantastic. He's super comfortable. He understands his character, and he always rides that very thin line between being very serious and being very serious and comedic. He's great. Meanwhile, in the ring, let's get back to the ring. Lindsay hits a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker on Jack Gallagher, covers him for 2. Gallagher catches Lindsay in a fireman's carry and drops him over the top rope. A little later, Lindsay hits a basement dropkick on Gallagher on the outside. Gallagher stalls a little bit outside to avoid a dive. That allows Gulak to get his. It allows Gulak to call Lindsay Dorito, which is something that I miss on occasion. Lindsay gets back in the ring, goes up top, but Jack knocks him off and starts forearming the Golden Links. Over the knee backbreaker, covers Lindsay for 2, followed by a bow and arrow. A series of diving knees follow. Covers Lindsay again, only for 2. Abdominal stretches follows, and Jack gets hip tossed out of the ring. Springboard flying body press happens. Lindsay Dorado does that, but he goes high, and he lands really, really high on Jack Gallagher, like right on his head. You know, he should be taking it on his chest. But man, that dive was high. Gallagher got it on the noggin. Lindsay's back in the ring and starts using some high-flying techniques. Hits a high cross body. That's all right, folks. I'm warming up. Hits a high cross body off the top rope. Covers Jack Gallagher for 2. He does his Tower of Moonsaults, where he does a moonsault off of every turnbuckle. But as he does the third one and flies off, he eats a pair of knees from Jack Gallagher, who gut wrench power bombs him, covers in the standing position, gets 2, and without releasing the hold, transitions into a single leg crab. Lindsay gets a monkey flip on Gallagher, super kick follows. Gallagher bounces off the ropes, off of the momentum of the super kick, and delivers a headbutt, covers Lindsay for 2. Lindsay gets the golden rewind on Gallagher, who kicks out his 2 as well. A top rope Hurricane Rana happens, but Gallagher rolls through it, gets Lindsay's shoulders down, and pins him for the 3 count. Jack Gallagher wins, and the celebration afterwards. Head to Twitter, twitter.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. I posted photographs of the celebration that Drew Gulak and Jack Gallagher were having. It was like Gallagher won the Cruiserweight title. Gulak was so happy, grabs him in his arms, plants a big kiss on his cheek, gives him the goofiest hug as he's walking away from the ring. The pictures are there. You should. Never mind Trent Beretta and Chucky T. These dudes are the real best friends in pro wrestling. That was fantastic. I love Drew Gulak so damn much. He's fantastic. So that was a fun opener. It was really, really good. We get to talk about Humberto Carrillo. We get to talk to him backstage. He gets interviewed, and he seems honored and open to be considered as a third member of that little group that Gulak and Gallagher have. Then we get a promo from Arya Daivari, who's basically saying, that he's sick about all these years that he's put into wrestling, and hasn't come up to anything. He says, he used to be a sidekick to a wannabe wrestler. All right. And then the mouthpiece to someone who can't even talk. Now it's his time kind of thing. Sidekick to a wannabe wrestler, like references to wrestlers who are gone from the company. Won't be the last time we talk about wrestlers who aren't around anymore here tonight. Then we got a promo with Mike Kanellis and Maria Kanellis. Mike seems to be very distraught that he's losing a lot, but Maria says it's about the process, not the outcome. Okay. Main event time, Noam Dar versus Tony Nese, and this is a no disqualifications match. It's become a bit of a staple on 205 Live. Dar attacks Nese immediately, even not immediately as the match starts, excuse me. Attacks Nese before the bell from behind, kicking him off the map. He hits his release Northern Lights suplex, covers him, but only gets 2. Nese rolls out of the ring, and Dar goes after him, ramming his head on the barricade and drives him into the steps. Of course, like I said, this is all no DQ, so Dar starts setting up some steps on the outside. But Nese then crotches Dar on the barricade. He leaves him straddled there. No, sorry. And Dar crotches Nese on the barricades, leaves him straddled there, then runs off the steps and lariats Nese right off of the barricade. That was a nice spot to get us in the mood. But then Tony Nese, not Tony Nese, but again, Noam Dar undoes the turnbuckle to reveal like that joint, that steel joint that connects the turnbuckle to the post, and he sticks Nese's fingers in there and pulls him back. But Nese fights back and tosses Dar into the post a couple of times, drives him into the barricade. Then Nese gets a chair. He gets Noam Dar back into the ring, and he drapes Noam Dar over the second rope, puts his feet over the second rope, then drapes him onto the chair. So he's basically like constructing a little playhouse. Like you put a nice little blanket on top of that, and then you just crawl under Noam Dar, and you're like, "Hi, Mr. Dar." He's got him draped over the turnbuckle, across the turnbuckle and the chair. Tony Nese then does his springboard moonsault off of the second turnbuckle right across his back. That was again a nice spot. Covers him, but only gets 2. Grinds the chair into Dar's abdomen, picks Dar up with the chair at the same time, and slams Dar and down on the chair, momentum thing. It looked a little awkward, we'll be frank. Spinning back kick keeps Dar from mounting a comeback, but Dar ducks a flying crossbody by Nese. Dragon screw leg whip by Dar, who then suplexes Nese into the buckles, covers him, but only gets 2. Dar goes outside, starts pulling like a half a dozen chairs out from under the ring and a table. And the people get excited because people like tables. Who doesn't like a good table upon which you can lay a buffet of food, for instance, or your income tax papers so that you can get that done? Who doesn't like a table? Super useful. Back in the ring, Dar rams Nese's left knee into a chair. Oh man, Nese and knee tonight. Yeah, this is going to be a real test for my communication skills here. Nese eventually gets out with some joint manipulation. Pump handle driver on the chair, covers Noam Dar for 2. They trade some strikes next. Nese then comes in with a strike, but punches the chair because Noam Dar was using it as a shield. And then Dar does a chair-assisted Fujiwara armbar, but Nese rolls out of it and gets Dar into a pinning combo to break up the hold. Nese then rolls out to the floor. Dar props the table up, whips Nese into the stairs, but Nese reverses it, and Dar hits hard. Nese drags the steps next to the commentary table, but Dar leg sweeps Nese, and he hits the steps face first. Nice little sequence here where Dar locks an armbar on the apron, but Nice lifts Dar off the apron and slams him onto the stairs that are in front of the commentary table. But Dar locks the armbar in again, which Nice then deadlifts Dar again, and from the steps drives him through the table, which collapses the commentary desk, and it just collapses. That was nice. That was nice. He rolls Dar back into the ring, hopefully to get the win, but he only gets a 2 count on his pin attempt. Dar avoids the corner running knee, and Dar drops from the second turnbuckle. He hits a knee drop on Nice's bad knee. There you go. I'm pretty satisfied. Ankle lock. He then gets an ankle lock, he being Nice. Ankle lock, grapevines the leg of Dar, who of Nice. I'm sorry. It's the other way around. Nice ankle locks and grapevines Nice's leg, who grabs a chair from the floor and slams it onto Dar to break up the hold. Nice then back on the outside drives the chair into Dar's knee, and it looked vicious. And then it all comes to a literal crashing end when Tony Nese runs, gives himself a big old head of steam, and charges the running knee on Dar, who is up against the barricade, and drives him right through the goddamn not commentary, but timekeeper's barricade. Everything falls apart. The speed that Nese was coming in at, that was frightening. And he carries Dar into the ring and gets the pin, rightfully so. Holy hell. That was a great match. That was a lot of fun. And I like no DQ matches that do use the environment but don't go overboard in bringing in toys. That's always a lot of fun. And the 205 Live finishes with a completely unnecessary contract signing segment. If it was good for only one thing, it was good for Akira Tozawa referencing the fact that he once beat the king of the cruiserweights to become cruiserweight champion. So on this edition of 205 Live, in one night, we have referenced Neville or Pac, we've referenced Hideo Itami, and we've referenced goddamn Enzo in one episode of 205 Live. There you go. This was a fun show. It was a fun edition of 205 Live. If you haven't taken the opportunity to see it, or if you haven't watched 205 Live in a while, it's a good one. It's a good one to jump right back in. Let's move on to NXT. It's funny because someone on Twitter today was talking about NXT UK and says, I prefer watching normal NXT. That's not something you should say. That's not it. Not normal NXT, as if NXT UK had, superfluous growths on it or something. I don't know. NXT starts with Dominik Dijakovic versus Shane Thorne. It still doesn't work for me. Dijakovic. Dominik Dijakovic. Did I have this rant? Did I do this rant here? Where that WWE, I don't understand their thing with names. Like at some point, I think I do. Where they chop everyone's name to just like one word, right? It's no longer Andrade Cien Almas. It's Andrade. They did it with the Heavy Machinery guys. It's no longer Tucker Knight and Otis Dozovic. It's Tucker and Otis. Alexander Rusev. He's just Rusev now. And then they come up with Dominik Dijakovic. And it just boggles my mind. This company that, like, that trims down on names to make them simple, bring them down to their most basic expression, come up with Dominic Dijakovic. It's 7 syllables. I think I did have this rant, but it always feels good to talk about it. He's facing Shane Thorne tonight, the formerly of the Mighty, or TM61. There's a strength test to start off, but Dijakovic gets the best of Thorne. He drapes Thorne, though, fights back, gets Dijakovic's arm over the rope. He drives the shoulder into the corner. Thorne is using the ropes to work the arm early on quickly. He's got it. He understands he has to work on Dijakovic's arm because he's a strength-based dude. He hits a drop kick to the hurt shoulder, and he starts throwing kicks over and over again, a flurry of kicks. Dijakovic doesn't know exactly what to do. He's keeling over. I really liked the start of this match. Thorne coming in with a clear strategy. However, a clothesline by Dijakovic takes Thorne down. Throwing suplex follows. Sets him up for he sets him up, but Thorne gets out of the choke move that he was setting up for by working the hurt arm. That a Sato suplex follows. Both guys go up to the top rope. Shenanigans ensue. Dijakovic tries to superplex Thorne off, but Thorne uses the bad arm to drive Dijakovic off. But nonetheless, Dijakovic backflips off and lands on his feet. He super kicks Thorne, who's still on the turnbuckles. Thorne falls to the outside. Dijakovic goes up top for a corkscrew plancha, brings Thorne back into the ring for the feast your eyes, and Dijakovic gets the win on Thorne. I was talking with Alex Pulowski. Maybe some of you have heard of that guy. He, I had tweeted out that that Thorne looked fantastic in this match, and Alex posited something which I think makes a lot of sense. Alex said that had it been Nick Miller who had been injured, what was it, like 2 or 3 years ago, and not Shane Thorne, Thorne would have probably been positioned as a single star right now, and we'd be talking about him as a credible threat to the North American title. And I agree with that. I really think this was when Nick Miller, just before they came back, they being TM61, what was it, like last year or like late 2017? Nick Miller was, not Nick Miller, but Thorne was legitimately injured. So TM61 was put on the sidelines. And yeah, I do agree. Thorne shows tremendous upside. Kind of makes you wonder the reason why they split up. Nick Miller said he wanted to go back to Australia, found a family, I think, or he already has a family. He wanted to be there, probably pursue his career there as well. You kind of wonder, though, how truthful it is, because you kind of feel that they want to egg Thorne on to maybe a more of a singles role. Listen, I'm all for it. He looked good tonight. He's got great intangibles in the ring. Fantastic psychology. I'm really looking forward to seeing more of Shane Thorne as we're going around, as we go on here, and of course Dijakovic as well. The Undisputed Era lads are backstage, and Adam Cole he's kind of tired of hearing everyone talking about how their 2019 is off to a crappy start. Haven't you ever heard of speed bumps, people? Now, what we have to glean from this backstage interview here is that apparently Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly are back to being the Undisputed Era team. And I have mixed feelings about this. I mean, I'm happy. that Red Dragon are back. I'm glad that, because O'Reilly and Fish worked really, really well together. But while Fish was injured and the tag team, the Undisputed Era tag team was Roderick Strong and O'Reilly, man, they delivered quality matches every time. Match of the year candidates. They did it all. They made us really understand how fantastic tag team wrestling is and how piss poor of a job they're doing up on Maine. So on one hand, I'm glad that the stalwart tag team is back together, but it's very bittersweet. You kind of go, oh, okay, well, all right. Don't want to get pouty, but it looks like they're going to maybe they want to try and give Roderick Strong more of a singles push, which again, I'm completely okay with. They recap the events of last week where Bianca Belair hit the KOD on Shayna Baszler in their 6-woman tag team match. But Io Shirai hit the moonsault and got the pin on Shayna. So they're interviewing Kyrie and Io backstage. And Io basically saying, I pinned the champ. I should get a shot. Bianca Belair comes in and she interrupts and says, look, nothing against y'all, but I get to I'm still next in line kind of thing. So I guess we're going forward with this, and I'm fine. I'm okay. I think this will be a nice feud. It'll be something different. I'm looking forward to this. Next match, we have the Street Profits facing Stacey Irvin and Humberto Carrillo. Now here's the thing. Before the match starts, Cassius Ohno comes out. And he says, since returning to NXT, it's been a tumultuous 2 years. He says, I came out here to tell the notorious Full Sail crowd, notorious is his words, not mine. He says, I want to tell each and every one of you that you make me sick. Your sounds, the chants, you think you know anything. You think you know everything, but you don't. Basically calling them a bunch of smarks. And he says, I'll tell you something. I'm out of here. I'm going to go somewhere to show that I'm the best to ever do it. I'm assuming he's talking about wrestling. But then Keith Lee sneaks up behind him. Yes, you heard that right. Keith Lee sneaks up on someone. You could wonder, how the hell does a man the size of Keith Lee sneak up on anyone? Well, goddamn, he did it. He was able. He snuck up on Cassius Ohno and gave him a hell of a rolling elbow that just knocked him out. Keith Lee takes the mic and then says, oh no. And he said, I could have come out here and hit you in the dangly bits like you did me. And basically just graciously walks away to allow the Street Profits to do their entrance and come to the ring. So our match finally starts here. Carrillo has a headlock on Montez Ford. Shoulder blocks him down. There's not a lot, but there is some one-upsmanship here. A stalemate between both Carrillo and Ford. And Ford looking solid with the always solid Carrillo. That was a fun exchange to begin with. Sportsmanship. There's a show of sportsmanship when Carrillo extends his hand to shake Ford's hand, but that lasts all the most of about 2.7 seconds when Ford kicks Carrillo. However, Carrillo quickly avoids Ford's offense, arm drags him a couple of times. Dawkins gets tagged in and shoulder tackles Carrillo down. Dawkins eats a kick to the head, double drop kick by the baby faces. Irvin is your legal man, hits a standing moonsault. Dawkins fights back, hits a nasty spear on Irvin. His head bounced off the mat. That was a nasty one. Ford with some kicks. He tries to ground Irvin, who battles out of it, but eats a hell of a backdrop driver. Commentary could not believe it. They're like, whoa, what just happened? Everyone freaked out. He landed on his neck, man. Irvin gets the tag to Carrillo. Handspring back elbow on Dawkins. Lucha arm drags Ford. He goes up top for a beautiful missile dropkick on Dawkins. Rolling moonsault, covers him, only gets 2. Irvin comes in with a moonsault of his own, covers, but Ford breaks the pin up. Irvin tries to Rana Dawkins, who blocks it, and instead gets him up into an electric chair position. Ford comes in with the off the top rope with the assisted super blockbuster for the win. And the Profits are all fired up. They get a microphone, and they're intense. They did show a lot of teeth tonight during this match, I guess you'd say. It was really, really intense. But yeah, it was really, really intense, this match was. So basically they're on the mic, and they call out the War Raiders. They said, we're fired up, we're ready to go. We want our shot at the War Raiders. But instead of the War Raiders coming out, Marcel Bartel and Fabian Aichner come out. The European Union. And Bartel has the microphone. He says, 999. Opportunities are scarce, and no one deserves an opportunity more at the War Raiders more than we do. And I agree. I like these guys. So the Street Profits stand aside. And that brings out Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, another team that I like. And they don't come in with a promo. They're not here to jaw jack. They're not here to talk. They're here to fight. So they just start arguing with everyone in the ring, and out come the champs. It says they say there's a lot of fighting. There's a lot of talking about our titles and no fighting. You want these titles? We're right here. Make a move. And as they're coming down to the ring, well, the lads attack. Fish, Strong, O'Reilly, they're all there. And everyone starts fighting each other. The people in the ring, people outside the ring. But the War Raiders, they get the upper hand and they clear everything out. Folks, this can only mean one thing. It is Dusty Classic season. We're heading into WrestleMania. The road to WrestleMania also usually is an indicator that it's time for the Dusty Classic, because the finals happen at the takeover. That's where it happens. The takeover for WrestleMania. So you have all your tag teams that are starting to posture. We're heading down that path, folks. Dusty Classic time is coming up. We get a reminder that next week we are getting Velveteen Dream versus Johnny Gargano for the North American titles. Not titles, title. I'm keeping all of this spoiler free, as you know by now. Next, we have a women's match. Taynara Conchi versus Aaliyah. Two ladies that we don't get to see a lot, but that's good. They can't, you have to put them in front of television from time to time. But Conchi comes to the ring finally with a remixed version of her theme. I hated her old theme. It's really a remix. This was an okay match. They were the ladies worked hard, but you can tell there's still a little green around the ears. A lot of throws by Conchi, who gets a jackknife pin attempt early on as well. Vanessa Bourne comes to ringside. Not quite sure why at first. Don't know what's going on. Conchi gets a couple of surprise pin attempts later on in the match, drops Aaliyah into the turnbuckle. She judo throws her, gets a short arm bicycle kick, which I thought was nice. Conchi gets a dangling arm bar onto the outside. The ref breaks it up. That actually distracts the ref, or Aaliyah continues to distract the referee as Conchi goes up to the top rope, but Bourne holds on to her feet, keeping her from going all the way up. Like I said, the ref is distracted. He's not seeing what's going on. It allows Aaliyah to get the total alienation, which is basically like a, what is it, a Kimura, and followed by some leg strikes. It looks vicious, though. I like it. Not totally alienation. You kidding me? Oh, well, and she gets the win. Conchi taps by Conchi loses by submission. So Bourne and Aaliyah seem to be in cahoots, but who cares? Because Shayna Baszler's music hits, and then we forget everything that happened because here she comes. She hits the ring. Aaliyah and Bourne scatter, but as they're going up the ramp, they are blindsided by Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke, who get them back in the ring. They beat them up, and Shayna is in no mood. She is in a foul mood. She says, do not cross us, do not question us, and oh, absolutely do not piss us off. Did I mention she was wearing a Kiss t-shirt? You know, Shayna, man, you bring her up to Maine and you put her right now. Like, if you were just to take a snapshot of what's happening right now and you transfer it up to main roster or anywhere, it doesn't matter. Right now, I think that there is legit money in a Becky Lynch, Shayna Baszler fight. And not only is there money, it'll be entertaining as hell. It will be a hard fight. I'm still worried about her being called up, but, you know, we'll see what happens down the road. Next, we get our main event match, Ricochet versus Adam Cole. I'm wondering if Ricochet and Adam Cole, I don't know if anyone had told them, if they were aware that this was not a takeover. Because, oh boy, did these young gentlemen go at it. Battle of the former North American champs. Cole gets the advantage early on after a collarbone tie-up. He whips Ricochet, but eats a Ricochet back elbow instead. Rolling Hurricane Run into a drop kick and a tope on Cole, who's on the outside as well. And this is all happening pretty much as quickly as I'm reading my notes here. We get back in the ring. Some top rope shenanigans ensue. A sunset powerbomb attempt is blocked by Ricochet, but instead Adam Cole releases the hold and kicks Ricochet off, but Ricochet's leg gets tangled in the second turnbuckle. He cries out in pain, and Cole immediately goes to work on the leg. Now, in this match, I sent this out on Twitter. In this match here, I was thrilled at the psychology that both these guys were using. Adam Cole was all about the urgency of working this leg. Like, he's fought Ricochet before. He didn't beat Ricochet. He saw an opening, and this is what Adam Cole does. He sees an opening, and he goes straight at it. And he's not like, I'll do these, I'll be a smarmy little son of a bitch, and then, twist the leg a bit and then release it. No. He goes straight in like a shark on blood, man. He just went right for it. And the way that Ricochet sold the injury, or trying to get out of the attempts that Cole, not the attempts, but the moves that Cole was trying to use to hurt the leg, he was flailing around. It was desperate. This was so good. There was this urgency by Cole here that just made this match. So Cole goes for the leg. He wraps it around the post. He stomps it. He uses the ropes to weaken it. Dragon screw leg whips it. Cole then avoids a leg strike by driving Ricochet's knee into the mat, and he just methodically goes after it. Ricochet's flailing, Cole drags Ricochet around, and his arms are trying to grab at stuff. He's completely taken out of his comfort zone here. Ricochet tries to get Cole to carry Cole, to put him up into a position, into a fireman's carry, like for the vertigo kind of thing, but his leg is giving out on him. But at least he gets a lariat in. He hits a 619 on Cole, diving uppercut from the top rope, hits a standing moonsault as well, covers Cole but only gets 2. He charges Adam Cole, who bullseyes the leg once again, leaping enziguri on the top rope by Cole on Ricochet, and he hits an Ushigoroshi on Ricochet, covers him, and gets 2.9. Cole tries to suplex Ricochet, but he drops his weight, to really make him struggle. I like that. He gets out of it, and he Northern Lights Cole instead. He holds the front face lock, but he can't lift Cole again for another suplex, and he reverses the attempt with another Ushigoroshi and gets another cover for 2.9. Ricochet ducks the last shot, blocks a super kick, and he blocks a super kick attempt, or at least he puts up his guard, and Cole sees it and instead just goes right back to the knee. I'm telling you, this was great stuff. Reverse Rana by Ricochet, then just freaking out of nowhere. He hits a springboard somersault senton that lands mostly on Cole's leg, and he did it like on one leg, which explains on why it was messy. Like even in the psychology of the match, it looked messy. Everything was messy because he did it with one leg. It worked. They start trading strikes. The last shot is avoided again. Some more kicks follow. Cole avoids a flip by Ricochet and instead has him eat a super kick to the side of the face. A super kick that would have tore off the head of a lesser man than Ricochet. He covers him and gets another 2.9. Cole has him in the corner up top. Shenanigans ensue. Hang on, give me a second here. Ricochet hits a springboard Frankensteiner on one damn leg. He Northern Light suplexes Cole, holds onto the front face lock, suplexes him into, and then hits the vertigo, and that's that. Clean as a whistle. Adam Cole gets beaten again by Ricochet, and here come the lads. Undisputed Era come in to beat up some more on Ricochet. And oh, look at this. Aleister Black runs in, and he hits a super Cole. He eats a super kick from Cole and a lumbar check by Roderick Strong. And that's how we're ending this edition of NXT, with Ricochet and Aleister Black being laid out by Undisputed Era. So maybe this is what they're angling over with good old Roderick here. If he's put in a program with Aleister Black, that's a pretty good trade-off to leave one of the greatest tag teams that we've had in NXT. Interesting conclusion, fun times, good episode of NXT. Check it out if you haven't already. Let's move on to NXT UK. So tonight they start broadcasting the stuff that they shot in Phoenix, and I cannot wait for them to get through that footage so that I don't have to see that production value ever again. That is awful, awful, awful. It is bad. It is amateur hour bad. The audio, the in-ring audio is muffled. I hate the look. It doesn't look good. It really looks like they're at the county fairgrounds. Now, I understand they're in a convention center. They're in a room where they've set up a venue here, and they weren't, it wasn't made for huge crowds. But if you watch NXT UK, and you see the beautiful venues in which the audience, not the audience, but the wrestlers perform, and you tune into NXT UK here, and you're like, bleh, bleh. That's pretty much how I feel like. I don't know. Hopefully they're there for 2-3 weeks tops of material, because that is bad. It is bad. Toni Storm comes out, and it's so poorly lit. Like with Toni Storm with her bangs, like I know she has a tendency, like to, when she cuts her promos, to sort of curl her elbow, not her elbows, but her shoulders up and keep her head down. But the way things are lit, her bangs are causing, they create a big shadow over her eyes. It's just bad. It's just bad. That's what I'm telling you, John. You want me to tell you how I really feel, John, in the chat right now? There you go. Don't like it. Basically, she cuts a promo, happy about winning the Mae Young Classic and the TakeOver Blackpool match, but she calls Rhea Ripley a bully, and some guy in the audience has a perfect audible, and he says, "I hate bullies," which I thought was hilarious. Of course, Rhea Ripley comes out, and she says that she's sick of people comparing her to Storm. People should be comparing Toni Storm to her. She hates Toni Storm. She hates her stupid hair. She hates her stupid face. And she hates that you have my championship. And then they brawl. We're getting this match next week. Toni Storm versus Rhea Ripley 2 for the UK Women's Championship. Next, we have Jordan Devlin versus Noam Dar. If you haven't been paying attention to this match, then you have failed miserably, because Jordan Devlin was wrestling on your television, people. And regardless of how dark everything looked and how crappy the image quality was, Jordan Devlin still shone across television, the television airwaves here. There's some good back and forth to start. This was a fun match, I found. Devlin with a backflip takedown on Dar and starts twisting the arm, but Dar gets back in control. Does the spinning, his spinning backspin, like backspin shoulder, not shoulder, but pin combination thing where he's spinning around, which eventually leads into a backslide pin. Covers Devlin, but only gets 2. He drops him into a side slam, but Devlin fights back with the Uranagi, followed by the standing moonsault. Covers him. He covers Dar, but only gets 2. Hits an inverted backbreaker on Dar, some joint manipulation, but Dar starts to fight back. Devlin's having none of it, though. He nails him down with an elbow, European uppercut. Again, Dar tries to fight back, but he hasn't learned his lesson. You try to fight back against Jordan Devlin, you get taken down, and this time it's with a suplex. Bow and arrow submission follows. Devlin goes for a springboard body press, but Dar dodges, and Devlin eats canvas. Noam Dar hits his combination throat chops kick and uppercut. He hits his release Northern Lights suplex, covers Devlin, but only gets 2. Devlin goes for an enziguri, but Dar catches the right leg and transitions nice and smoothly into an ankle lock. I like that. Devlin gets out of it, hits his springboard cutter, the Irish Ace cutter. Covers Dar only for 2. Dar charges Devlin, who's on the outside, and Dar hits his knee into in the stairs. Devlin then tries to get to set Dar up to injure his knee, kind of like what he did to Travis Banks, and that brings out Travis Banks to keep this travesty from happening. Travis tries to stop the travesty. He tries to interfere, but he can't. Dar avoids getting his knee crushed and plants Devlin face first on the stairs instead. And Devlin rolls Dar up into a pin back in the ring. He uses the rope for leverage, but Banks pushes his legs off, and that distracts Devlin long enough to, actually, he delivers an enziguri to Banks, but the distraction allows Dar to roll Devlin up and get the win. And I cried a little inside. But at least, no, I'm kidding. The good thing is that this pushes forward the feud with Travis Banks, which I think is a good idea because these guys are going to work magic together. In 2 weeks' time, folks, it was announced tonight we're getting Cassius Ohno versus Walter. Ow. Women's match time, we get Ginny Couture, or Ginny, versus Mia Yim. And I'm all about this match. It was a lot of fun. Solid match between these two ladies here. Some ground game to start, a lot of grappling. Ginny finally gets Mia down with a knee to the head, stretching her arm, dragging her nails against her arm. I was like, is that legal? Does that matter? Yim battles out of it and drives Ginny down, gets a couple of pin attempts. Yim with some forearms, eats a kick as well. Hurricane Rana by Ginny is countered by a somersault, and she's frustrated, Ginny is. She forearms Yim in the face and strikes her down. And Yim goes right on her, some ground and pound, tries to lock in an armbar, but Ginny reaches the bottom rope. Nice physical match so far. Face crusher by Ginny onto the turnbuckle, covers Yim, but only gets 2. She hits the axe kick, covers again, only gets 2. Ginny then whips Yim into the ropes and transitions real nice into that seated wheelbarrow submission thing she does. Oh, that was smooth like country churned butter. Oh, that was nice stuff. Yim fights back, though. She gets a tarantula over the top rope, breaks it up before the 5 count, gets some strikes in, a cannonball on Ginny. Matchbook cover gets 2, but Ginny fights back. However, she gets Germaned into the turnbuckle. Ginny does, and rolls to the outside. Mia Yim goes after her. Ginny back in the ring, waits for Yim to pop in, kicks her right in the face, rolls her up into a pin, uses ropes for leverage. Ref doesn't see it. Ginny gets the win. This was a fun match. This was really a fun match. Should definitely take the time to check it out. Solid work by both women here. No surprise, because they're both really good. Next week, we're getting the Coffee Bros. And this is not like a video game. I mean, Joe and Mark Coffee versus Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews. But main event time, Pete Dunne versus Wolfgang in a non-title affair. We get some back and forth here to begin with, some arm bars until Dunne tosses Wolfgang down, gets him into an arm bar, and Wolf hits the ropes fast to avoid getting joint manipulated. He knows what's up with this Pete Dunne fella. Wolf stalls some more and ends up delivering a forearm to Dunne. He keeps him down, boots him into the chest. Some running and dodging offense that ends with Dunne hitting a huge clothesline on Wolfgang. Drop kick off the second turnbuckle to the knee. Dunne rolls out to avoid. Dunne rolls out of it and gets a kick caught into a knee bar. But Wolfgang reaches the ropes again, really fast to avoid getting his leg torn off. Wolfgang dodges a charging Dunne and tosses him to the outside. He stomps Dunne, tosses him back in the ring, but once we're back inside, Dunne twists the arm and stomps the elbow. Gets a body scissors on Wolfgang and tries to work the fingers, but Wolfgang tosses him, hangs him up on the top rope, covers Dunne, but only gets 2. Dunne fights back with a German suplex. Like, that was what? It just came out of nowhere, was so quickly done. Pete Dunne with some strikes. Enziguri's Wolfgang with follows and Enziguri's, but Wolfgang follows up with a suplex. Dunne lands on his feet though, and then kicks Wolfgang in the back of the head. Xplex follows, covers, only gets 2. A little later on in the match, there's some top rope shenanigans. Dunne knocks Wolfgang out loopy with an enziguri, then climbs up top and hits a superplex. Both guys are out. Dunn gets back up first, stomps the fingers, triple series of kicks. Hits an enziguri, runs the ropes, eats a lariat by Wolfgang. Wolfgang hits a fireman's carry into a lungbuster, covers but only gets 2. Wolfgang goes up top for a senton bomb, but Dunn catches his arm as he's flying off and gets that new finger snap submission that he's been doing a few times now for the win. As it stands, this was probably Pete Dunne's least interesting match since the NXT UK brand started. He's had extraordinary, really, really great matches with a whole host of people since the brand started. Danny Burch, Jordan Devlin, fantastic matches. This was not one of them. But then again, it looks like they're fighting in a barn. We're going to wrap this one up, folks. The overall, all 3 shows tonight were really fun. If anything, check out NXT UK to watch Ginny versus Mia Yim. That was a lot of fun. Solid performance by the women. And, Jordan Devlin wrestled. So, can't be all that bad. I want to thank everyone who joined me live in the chat this evening. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this. Thank you very much for supporting Fightful Select. It's the best way to support the entire endeavoring here at Fightful, and we appreciate your patronage a great deal. So again, thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you next time.